And I'm really delighted to introduce Katherine Trebeck, co-founder of We All Global and Scotland. Now, Katherine's just going to say a few words to get this event started. Over to you, Katherine.
Thank you, Jimmy, and let me add my welcome to all of you who have joined today from as far afield as New Zealand. Really great to have you on this discussion. And I think one of the exciting things about the gathering here today to talk about the economic strategy is it's potentially one of the most important documents that the Scottish Government could be working on. It will set the tone for economic policy for the next 10 years. And so we massively need to get it right. And so this conversation is about thinking through the contours and some of the key priorities, some of the key structures and dynamics of that document and how it goes from here. We've been speaking about the idea of really transforming Scotland's economic system so that it serves human and ecological well-being. So it's a well-being economy. That adjective in front of the economy is absolutely vital. This is about moving beyond an economy that is designed for and dependent on economic growth to one that is concertedly, proactively designed for collective well-being. And as you'd imagine, there's a whole plethora of changes that are required to do that. Sadly, it's not a simple flick of a light switch, but I think in terms more of a jigsaw puzzle of different changes that we require to build that sort of economic system, many of which are in the realm of the Scottish Government, many of which are in different locations in terms of political power. But there is so much that the Scottish Government could be doing. There's a lot they're doing already, but I think it's fair to say, given the outcomes we see in Scotland, not nearly enough to really design an economy that serves concertedly what people and planet need. And we're going to hear a lot more in the coming hours about what that economic system really looks like, and then think through the lens of the forthcoming 10-year economic strategy, what that needs to contain in order to be able to deliver it. This is the second of two meetings. We had a much smaller conversation about 6 weeks ago or so. Some of you were present there, and that was an initial discussion to just get a sense of what are some of the emerging ideas around what the strategy document will look like. And we collated those amongst a small group of our respective organisations and fed them into the, I'll say, rather limited consultation opportunity for the economic strategy. But some of the things that we included in that submission were the economic strategy needs to be cognizant of the reality of environmental limits. And so it needs to sit within the finite planet and all the implications that come with that. We can't have the economy and discussion of the economy as separate from that around the environment. We need to flip our thinking and see the economy not as objective in its own right, but as a lever and in service of our higher order goals of delivering social justice on a healthy planet. We need to use all government levers, not just the obvious ones, but really think creatively about what government can be doing to encourage and support and incentivize and celebrate the sort of activities that we need to build a well-being economy. We need to be really cognizant of the importance of the care economy, whether that's unpaid work outside the formal labour market. How can we support people to undertake that work? And then how do we value the care work that is paid? How do we make sure that that work that we've seen in the last 18 months is so fundamental to our well-being across our communities? We also need to recognise that there are some measures that are currently operating in a counter direction and pay attention to that. Often some of the best policy work can actually be looking to moderate and amend existing economic levers rather than just bringing in a new policy. We need to ask questions about ownership and around business models, not just take the economic business ecosystem as it is, but really celebrate and support those sorts of businesses that are aligned with well-being economy. And we also need to invest in our foundational services so that they underpin people's engagement with the formal economy. And of course, this conversation needs to be inclusive. It needs to have people at the forefront. It cannot be remote, undertaken by an unelected advisory group on its own. We need to bring people into the conversation around how we design our economic system for the 10 years that the strategy's looking at and beyond. Jimmy, that's more than enough for me, but thank you everyone for being here today and for all you're going to do to help carry on this conversation.